Now, let's move on to Arizona, where there is a breaking scandal that shows how far some so-called Republicans are willing to go to stop Trump supporters. Do you remember Kari Lake? She was the pro-MAGA, pro-Trump former news anchor who ran an unsuccessful campaign for governor and is now trying her hand again at the Senate, where polls show in her race she has a more than decent shot of winning the seat. But it seems that some people are determined to stop Kari Lake. A disturbing audio tape has emerged out of Arizona that, by all lights, appears to show the chair of the Arizona Republican Party, Jeff DeWit, trying to bribe Lake not to run. Have a listen to this.
So what's going on? What is? I'm assuming this is our friend.
This is back east. There are very powerful people that want to keep you out.
Oh no, they do.
But they're willing to put their money where their mouth is in a big way. So this conversation never happened.
This is crazy, though. They should want me. I'm a great candidate. People love me. These people are corrupt.
Well, maybe you're right.
Powerful people back east willing to do whatever it takes. Well, it's pretty interesting to me, and Lake told DeWit what he could do with his offer. And since the tape emerged, DeWit has resigned, claiming that he was set up. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, tell us about this scandal, and who are these forces back east that Jeff DeWit was talking about who are trying to buy off Kari Lake to keep her from running?
The establishment in Washington, I suppose, is what I deduced from that, James. And I mean, it's just laughable that James DeWit, the gentleman that you just played there, is now saying he was set up. What did Kari Lake, can she do the Jedi mind trick and make people say things that they don't want to say otherwise? Clearly, he was bribing her. Clearly, they met up for that reason, because he wanted to not only convince her to get out of the race, but to actually pay her off to do so. It's all on tape. Lake is the one who actually taped him because she thought it was suspicious that he was reaching out in the manner that he was. And he's caught red-handed. And this is just, again, an example of the swamp that Donald Trump describes and Kari Lake describes as well, as far as a corrupt system here in the U.S. where anything goes, it seems.
Huge standoff this week between the Texas and Biden administrations about the situation on the southern border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has released a lengthy statement touting a right to self-defense from a migrant invasion, and he's accused the federal government of violating constitutional duties to enforce immigration laws. Tell us the latest on this. We're going to be talking to a citizen journalist on the ground, but what are the politics in Washington looking like right now on this?
James, this is baffling to me, because what we're seeing at the U.S. southern border, something like when you include the gotaways. In other words, there are people that cross the border very easily, and then they turn themselves in to Border Patrol agents, and then they're basically released into the country, or even flown to different cities at their preference, right? And when you talk about those people and then the gotaways, ones that get into the country, then we don't know who they are. Hundreds of people, by the way, have crossed into this country and have been apprehended who are on the FBI terror watch list. So you can only imagine what that number looks like when we're talking about all the terrorists that haven't been caught. So you look at the optics of this, and you see that more than 9 million people have come into this country since Joe Biden took office. And you realize then that there are 38 U.S. states that don't have a total population of 9 million. And you're seeing an invasion is the only way you could describe it. And the fact that now you have cities like New York and Chicago, Denver, San Francisco, their budgets are exhausted because they're spending billions on housing these people who are here illegally and paying for their food. And there is no money left for actual citizens who live here. Even in New York, right where I am, they're cutting sanitation to an already dirty city. They're cutting education, where test scores are at a 30-year low. And they're cutting the NYPD, New York City Police Department, while crime continues to spiral out of control, all to pay for these folks. So this has wide-ranging, obviously, it's a crisis. Let's face it. And Joe Biden, who is polling at 18% approval on the border, James, still continues to fight Texas on this, where Texas is just trying to do everything they can to secure their border because they're the ones who have to handle all this when they first come in.
Well, and I know there's a big constitutional fight that's brewing on this. We'll be speaking a bit about that a bit later in the show. But what is the political endgame for the Democrats? Is the idea get these guys in, get them into the system, and then eventually at some point, when they've got bigger majorities in the Congress, pass some sort of amnesty deal, and suddenly you've got a whole bunch of new American citizens who have been given their citizenship and their opportunity by the Democrats, and they're figuring, well, hey, we've got this whole new block of voters to shore up our crumbling identity politics coalition.
James, that's exactly what's going on here. There's no other explanation for it, right? I mean, it was so easy when Donald Trump was president. If they could have completed the wall, and Democrats fought him tooth and nail on that in Congress, Nancy Pelosi particularly, in terms of not getting him the funding he needed to complete that wall. Complete the wall, reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, which was profoundly effective. Stop catch and release, where we're catching these people like I described before and releasing them into the country. Joe Biden on day one ended all of those things. He could restart those right now and get a handle on the border again, but he will not. And now it's going to cost him the election. I will say this right now, save the tape. This is a #1 issue in this country. And a lot of black voters in this country don't like this very much in those urban environments I was talking about, because they see people that are here illegally, and the people that are here legally are not being taken care of while the illegals are. And many, even Hispanics as well, fleeing Joe Biden over this issue because they did it the right way. They went through the process, and they see all these people, millions of them, cutting in line and being taken care of. And they're saying that's enough. So I don't get the political aspect of this in the here and now in 2024, because it will cost Joe Biden this election.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and I think Americans should take a hard look at what Australia has done about unauthorized and illegal arrivals, because I tell you what, stopping them from being able to enter the country, it cuts that all right out. But before I let you go, I want to just ask you very quickly about these calls for the resignation of District Attorney Fani Willis. She's the one in Georgia who's pushing the election interference fraud charges against Donald Trump. She's in trouble because apparently she hired someone that she was in a relationship with to go after Trump. Take a listen to this resident speaking to the Fulton County Board of Commissioners.
I'm disgusted at the information that is coming out of the district attorney's office as a taxpayer. I am done with most of your silence at the DA's apparent love affair with the special prosecutor and gross mismanagement of taxpayers' dollars to pursue what appears to be a frivolous lawsuit based off of partisan politics.
Joe, this is what I love about America. Americans can go and say what they think to their elected officials, but surely Fanny's got to go. She can no longer play a role in prosecuting Donald Trump on these alleged offenses, can she?
I mean, this is like a really, really bad episode of Veep, but I guess like it's not a Veep, it's an attorney general, it's a prosecutor, right? She hired her boyfriend, her married boyfriend, who she's been sleeping with for years, and paid him more than $600,000 to try this case. He's an ambulance chaser. He's never done a felony case like this or a federal case like this before. And she hired him, paid him all this money, and then he in turn took the money that she paid him with taxpayer money, and they went on vacations to Napa Valley and on cruises in the Caribbean, and stayed at all these ritzy hotels. It's all out there. There is no denying this whatsoever. She does have to resign, and this is yet another feather in Donald Trump's cap as far as him saying, see, that's the swamp, that's the weaponization of our justice system, and all of these trials obviously are election interference to try to get me off the ballot or in jail and give the presidency to Donald Trump, to Joe Biden. It is so obvious, it's scary, and these people are just stupid. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, you hire the boyfriend, the ambulance, Better Call Saul, that's
Better Call Saul. Joe, it's great work if you can get it, I guess, as the saying goes.